I've been kind of cursed in life of people trying to get me under them, get me to work for somebody that through a chain of handshakes, they eventually could possibly make their way above me, get me to serve somebody else's interests, get people to see that I'm under them. It's not going to happen because things don't actually work that way. I think at this point in time, it's really important that people study neuroscience, quantum physics, data science, and AI. These four things. Think of yourself as thinking of yourself in a race. And in this race, you are 600 pounds in a wheelchair and blind. And you're in a race with athletes. And you're sitting there saying what place you're in. But the athletes are just running, and it's an actual race, right? And so they're just going around the track. You know, they're on lap 18, lap 24, and you're 600 pounds blind in a wheelchair saying what place you're in. Is basically what's happening. And the progress that we've made, you're not qualified to understand what you can and can't get away with, right? And the fact is, if you actually spend the time educating yourself, regardless of where you think you are, the actual mechanics and having to sit there and be patient with yourself and to suffer long and to be wise, to make wise decisions anyway, will basically train your mind to a point where you basically won't want to act like this any longer. I won't act like you think you need to have these advantages through these crafty techniques, but then you're also more qualified to see what you can and can't get away with. So it's kind of, it helps you two ways. One, you're coming to a point where you're not interested in trying to get away with things, and two, you can see how exposed everything is, because it's coming to a point where it's not going to be, someone says, well, it's his word against ours. It's not someone else's word against yours. It's very quickly coming to that point. You're basically like living in like a secondary, you're living in like kind of a mutation of reality. And the further you get away, the more and more cartoon it gets, and the more and more dim things start to feel and look like. It's like you're not actually going to change the truth. You're not going to change what happened. You're not going to change that you need to exercise good behavior. So the only, I help myself because I care about a lot of people. I can't not care, but you see, every little move you make, every little advantage that you think you're going to get. Now let's say that you see what I'm saying, and now you're going to get an advantage by complimenting me inside of yourself, right? You're still operating off of these evil mechanics, and you say, how's a compliment? See, like all of it needs to shut down. We know about all this, okay? But you are stuck is the problem. You are stuck, and it's not someone else's word against yours. It's very quickly coming to a point where it's not. But basically, it isn't working like these tiers. So like you want it to be tiers, you're thinking God has put this person here, and then this person here, and then this is the next person, this is the next person. It's this like two-dimensional chart you're seeing in your head, but things work in many dimensions. Let's start with 3 dimensions and try to see how that's true. That basically people are gaining skills, and the work that they put into things puts them higher up there in their understanding and their maturity. You're maturing in your understanding there, right? But it's like, it's not a two-dimensional chart of people. It's a multi-dimensional matrix of mechanics and physics and things happening. And it's mass. It can't be quantified by a two-dimensional chart. So you're kind of already on the wrong foot. You're thinking I got to try to get above him. There's it's not really above, right? But if you want to, what you need to do is go to school. And because you can't have people that are unqualified leading people that do very serious jobs. I solve very serious problems. I can't have you above me. It wouldn't work. So that's what you need to work on. If you were a good person, if you were doing what you're supposed to be doing, you wouldn't have an interest to go around and convince other people of your position in order to solidify your case. It's just not necessary to get people on your side to form these divisions and factions. When you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're operating from good principles. And people say, okay, well, I'm going to be a really convincing person to other people that I'm a good person. I'm going to take on the form of a good person. I'm going to speak with a compassionate tone. I'm going to laugh and joke around. I'm going to solidify the confidence in my position and my expectations of where God has put me by putting myself in a frequency and a resonance of somebody that's successful or wealthy, somebody that's kind. But what you're doing is you are forcing the mechanics of actually being a good runner in the race out, and you're replacing it for this other thing that you're doing in your body that what you believe generates an appearance. But the thing is, you are too uneducated to actually even understand what the full scope of what other people are seeing is, and what appears to you as noble and good, and you think that you're displaying only what you want to display. The reality is you cannot escape your own mechanics, and you're displaying everything that you are at one time and everything that you do, and that's not going to change. And there are other people that are educated and that can see what you're doing, and you don't look good to them. You look nasty, you look distorted, confused, and people basically don't want that leading their life or around their children. And this is what you need to hear, and I hope that it helps.